We have reached the end of the Wars of the Ancient tournament. The two generals that reached the finals were Poccopacs and Armenian King, both two very strong players. Now the winner of my tournament was originally going to get the Black Sea DLC or a DLC of their choosing. But Heir of Carthage has graciously decided to award the winner a copy of Attila. So, how can you not love the guy? It's just so amazing that he decided to support competitive multiplayer by awarding Attila to the winner of my tournament. This is the first tournament that I've hosted. I'm going to be hosting many more because I had a lot of fun in hosting the tournament, in watching the battles, and I want to play around with different tournament rules to ensure that we get the best battles possible for the viewers and for the players. So this is a mirror matchup, which means that both players were to agree on two factions that they were going to play, and they were going to switch factions after the first battle. If it went to a tiebreaker, it's a best of 3, so if both players won one game each, it was going to go to a tiebreaker where both players play the same faction against each other. So let's jump right into it. In this battle, Poccopacs is commanding Carthage, and the Armenian King is commanding the Seleucids. And as you can see from the screen here, these are two very interesting builds indeed. The map is the pyramids, and judging by the lightning here, it looks like we are in the winter season. I don't think this is summer. I might be wrong. We'll see how the heat plays out in this battle, how the heat effect plays out. Because the Median cavalry has a resistance to heat. The elephants also have a resistance to the effects of heat. For Carthage, the Libyan hoplites have a resistance to heat, the Libyan infantry has a resistance to heat, so do the elephants and the Carthaginian cavalry. Looking at these two builds, we have 6 swords in the front line for Armenian King. We have 1 shield bearer. He has 5 units of Median cavalry, 1 mercenary Syrian archer, and 2 Tarentines to counter the elephants of Carthage. For Carthage, we have a front line of 4 Libyan hoplites, 4 Libyan infantry, or 6 Libyan infantry, no, 5 Libyan infantry, and 1 mercenary Scutari, I believe, or 2 mercenary Scutari. 2 mercenary Scutari and 4 Libyan infantry. They are backed up by 2 Iberian swords. He has 4 Carthaginian cavalry and an African war elephant. These builds are very similar. The main difference being that the elephant counter of the Armenian King is more mobile than the elephant counter of the of Poccopacs. But Poccopacs' elephant counters have longer range and they are more powerful. I'm very excited to see how this plays out. Armenian King is going to have to deal with the skirmishers and the Iberian swords, ideally, before he rushes in with his elephants. He does have the cavalry advantage. The infantry advantage goes ever so slightly to Carthage. If the Libyan hoplites are able to screen from the Tarentines and get into the Median cavalry, then it's going to be difficult for Armenian King to use his Syrian armored elephants. But the Syrian armored elephants are super heavy, while the African war elephants, it says on the unit card that they are medium, but they are actually heavy elephants. The mercenary Syrian armored elephants have more health, and they also have but the stats are similar, aside from the mass. But of course, mass with mighty knockback for the elephants, an extremely important statistic for elephant units. Having higher mass means that they will be able to knock back, and kill enemy units much easier. Carthage moving up towards the left flank of the Armenian King, while the Armenian King is just reorienting his lines ever so slightly, not making any rash movements, walking his units. Very nice methodical play here from the Armenian King. And these two armies both have the compositions to be able to neutralize and defeat one another. It comes down to which general is going to be able to use his units to greatest effect. Balearic slingers screening from the Tarentines. They should be able to make them keep their distance. Although the Tarentines have nice armor, they can't take many volleys from mercenary Balearic slingers before they start dropping. So ideally, Poccopacs would want to use his skirmishing advantage for as long as possible, delay the main engagement, and do damage to the thorax swords, so that the Libyan infantry and the Scutari are able to defeat the sword line of the Seleucids. But neither player really wants to engage too hastily here, because engaging hastily would allow elephants to get into the mix, and elephants can be very unpredictable. Here we have the Balearic slingers in range, starting to fire a bit on the Tarentines, getting some nice hits off. And this is what I talked about. Even though they have good armor, they lost 4 horses to a single volley, so Armenian King needs to keep his distance here. Splitting up his forces, pulling back a bit. He does not want to take too much fire from the Balearics and from the Cretan archers before the main engagement starts. Ideally, he wants to take care of the skirmishers of Carthage. If he can't take care of the skirmishers of Carthage and then start engaging, it's going to be very difficult for Poccopacs to deal with the armored elephants. And Syrian armored elephants are as good as Indian armored elephants. It's just that the Syrian armored elephants are cheaper. They are 200 cheaper than the Indian armored elephants. So they are the superior choice in all cases. And when you go with elephants, it can be very beneficial to also go cavalry heavy in order to decisively defeat enemy skirmishers. Armenian King is starting to surround Carthage slowly here. His Median cavalry is superior to the Carthaginian cavalry, ever so slightly. Or is it now? I would think they would be. Let's just pause it to have a look at that, because okay, Median cavalry 40, 25, 15, 41, 25, 15, 34, 35, 70, 34, 34, 65, 80. So okay, the Median cavalry has more health, the Carthaginian cavalry has less armor. I think the Median cavalry comes out on top in a 1 versus 1 engagement between those two units, but I'm not entirely certain because I haven't tested that actually. The Carthaginian cavalry is disciplined and has resistance to heat, so they are not far off from each other, these two units. Both players are looking to engage now. The elephants are way off on the flank, smartly done. If Armenian King can tie down enough Carthaginian units and then send in his elephants, it could be devastating for Carthage. Mercenary Scutari not being braced, Armenian King is going to be able to make it into both the swordsmen and the Balearic slingers, making a mess of the front lines of Carthage, but losing a lot of Median cavalry in the process. Another charge coming in against Carthaginian cavalry. This Median cavalry is free to go and get at the mercenary Cretan archers. Very nicely done here by Armenian King. Perfect cavalry play. The engagement starts happening all across the map, and it looks like Armenian King is getting the better charges. African war elephants rushing into the center, but not a good move by Poccopacs, because there is Tarentine cavalry here, being able to fire freely onto the African war elephants. The Syrians are going to rush in, and getting elephants into the flank like this is massively important. Median cavalry manages to sneak past the Carthaginian cavalry, get at the mercenary Balearic slingers, and this is so bad for Carthage. The elephants are dying, they are running amok, they got stopped by shield bearers. We have Syrian armored elephants moving into the flanks of Carthage. No skirmish units are free to do damage to the mercenary Syrian armored elephants. And look at the kills compared to the Carthaginian elephants. The Syrian armored elephants are just destroying the flanks of Poccopacs. Carthaginian cavalry going down, Cretan archers going down. The skirmishers of Carthage are essentially shut down. The mercenary Iberian swords are not going to get many volleys off. They don't need to though, because the mercenary Syrian armored elephants are running amok, but they're running amok in the back lines of Carthage. The Carthaginian general is going down, he's also running amok all across the line. The units of Armenian King are being used to greater effect than the units of Poccopacs, and the mercenary Syrian armored elephants are just destroying the entire Carthaginian army. In this blob here, Armenian King is going to lose a lot of cavalry, but it manages to tie down important enemy units. The mercenary Syrian armored elephants are running amok into the mercenary Iberian swords and destroying them. So Carthage doesn't have any response to what is happening now. Its skirmishers are being destroyed. The Syrian armored elephants came back from running amok, and now Armenian King is going to be able to control them. Carthage is winning the engagement in the center here. The general is still alive, but there's only one elephant left, and the elephants of Carthage did nothing in this case. It's so dangerous keeping your elephants in the center, and javelin cavalry is such a perfect counter to elephants. Foot skirmishers can be problematic, but if you're able to get your to use your javelin cavalry the way Armenian King did here, it's the perfect counter to elephants that are charging in frontally, and a convincing display by Armenian King here and defeating the Carthaginian army. A lot of Seleucid left on the field. Beautiful play by his javelin cavalry, by his cavalry, and by his elephants. 300 kills on them. Some nice kills on the thorax swords as well, but the elephants went in like a wrecking ball and destroyed the Carthaginian lines. Decisive victory for the Seleucids in the first battle. Let's have a look at the kills. The elephants of Carthage were neutralized, the skirmishers were neutralized, and when that happens, this Seleucid build is just going to stomp all over Carthage. Very nicely done by the Armenian King. So this was the first battle. Now Poccopacs has to win the second battle in order to stay in the tournament, because this is a best of 3. Strength and honor.